Welcome to Biohacking Beauty Podcast, the podcast where we take longevity and anti-aging and we translate it into things that would benefit your skin. Today, we have an incredible episode because back on the podcast is the number one guest in my eyes and many other people's eyes, Anastasia Khodzhaeva, my co-founder in Young Goose.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. And I apologize, guys. I don't have much of my voice, but I haven't appeared for a really long time. And we just said, you know what? We're not going to delay it any further. So there you have it.
For the record, I'm asking you to join the podcast like every time. So
I know. And the day that I agreed and we scheduled everything, we made room for it, I wake up with no voice.
Yeah. So today we actually have a sort of a personal journey type episode. That's why I was pressuring Anastasia to come on because we're going to be we're going to explore Botox alternatives and we're going to talk about your personal journey.
Yes. So as you guys might remember, we did record an episode on Botox alternatives a while back. And we didn't touch on whether I do Botox or I don't.
But I'll tell you who touched on it. Every comment on every post you were ever on.
Yes. So I have been getting multiple comments, whether if I'm 15 or in my early 20s. I'm 35 for the record. But so then comments of, my skin just looking good because it's with Botox and fillers. So I thought, it's about the time to address all of that and just honestly, have nothing to hide. So I'm here to be transparent.
Okay, good. So before we start, maybe I want to ask you, why do you think we are making a podcast on it? What are we seeing as far as demand from people, demand for answers, as far as listeners? Why would we make a podcast about alternatives?
Yeah, so there's definitely a demand on Botox alternatives. And also, I think as new data emerges, there are progressively two, there are two camps and they're getting more and more polarized. So there are people that just believe that, if someone is saying their skin, someone's looking great, their skin looks great, there's no way they're not doing Botox. And, they're just diehard fans of Botox. And there is also a group that really thinks that it's such a, extremely toxic thing that they would never touch it. And they were really the pioneers of seeking alternatives. So there are these two polarized groups.
Yeah.
But also, I would say that our audience and our community is somewhere in between. A lot of them are maybe have already done Botox and now are thinking, okay, can I go without it? Or they're getting into their mid-30s, 40s, whatever the age number is, and they always planned that by this age they'll start doing Botox because it's just such a common thing. And now they're like, do I really have to go the Botox route, or is there alternative? So that's kind of I think this is the crowd that we're most catering to in general. And this podcast would also hopefully be helpful.
Yes. I do want to say a couple of things, which is what is this not about? It's not about Botox alternatives as far as different neurotoxins that are competing with Botox on your doctor's shelf. Because this is technically, when you say a Botox alternative, that's really what you should be talking about, right? We're really not talking about alternatives. We're talking about alternative approaches to looking more youthful.
That's right. We're not really talking about
things like dye sport. I don't know.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah. And we also are probably, I don't know where the conversation is going to take us, but most likely we will not talk about something that will 100% rival Botox.
Yes.
So give you the same exact result, but will be done
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
differently.
We're not talking about other ways to freeze your muscles per se. We're looking at if your goal is to look more youthful, and that is why you are considering Botox, or that's what you refer to when you're thinking about or talking about Botox. This is an alternative approach to that. I think it's just a clickbaity type thing that we're doing where we're saying like Botox alternative.
This is how a lot of people refer to it. So it's also
Yeah,
for people
100%.
to understand. Yeah,
100%. I would say that our goal, I think it's important to say in Young Goose and this podcast, is to emphasize or display ways to achieve more youthful looking skin, a healthier skin overall, and a skin that functions and is biologically younger than your chronological age or the average way a skin functions at your age.
Yeah. We want your skin to look as young as you feel.
Or even more. Maybe you feel old. No, never mind. Anyway, let's start with your journey. I think it's a good jumping point.
Yeah.
So maybe you should start with what was your first experience with Botox?
Yeah. So have I ever done Botox? Yes. And I have never hit it. So how did I arrive to that point? So I turned 30, and a lot of my girlfriends were already getting Botox in their mid-20s. And I was literally, like the very last, in this case, woman standing, not getting Botox. And thankfully, I felt like it's really like it doesn't have to happen, for me. I didn't experience, and I want to be upfront about it. Everyone has different skin. I didn't have like deep lines or really that's what Botox addresses when you have deep lines. And I didn't have them. So there was no pressure for me to do it from the point that my skin looks like. It was more so like the age, the number, like, okay, I hit my 30s. That's what women do in their 30s. Also, I've been getting a lot of unsolicited advice from somewhat, at the time, you and I were a lot in the medical field.
Yeah.
And so in the medical community, I've been getting a lot of unsolicited advice about the fact like, oh, you don't do Botox. You should really start doing it. This is preventative. Your skin looks good now, but if you watching this right now, I'm a very expressive person. Like I move a lot of my facial muscles. And so, I've been getting that advice, like, over time it will accumulate and you should start your preventative measures now. So now, separate from that, from the fact that I already was thinking about, okay, when I hit 30, I'll go and do it. I also have been struggling with TMJ from my early 20s. And it was just progressively getting worse and worse and worse.
Maybe say what TMJ is for the one person here listening to this. No offense, that doesn't know what it is.
Oh, I should say. Yeah, sure. So I have like really severe jaw pain. So basically my jaws, like there is an issue where it happens to people that grind their teeth, or just in my particular situation, it's just
it's an annoying husband. Yes,
it's a predisposition.
That's a real
but the way I deal with it on a daily basis, I just really have very tense muscles, my jaw muscles, and I experience a lot of pain.
Yeah.
So I've been told that Botox can help with that. And there are multiple other things that you can do Botox for. So also because of my TMJ, I've been getting migraines. And sometimes they were like really debilitating. And at the time, I was dealing with being accepted to medical school. And prior to that, I was studying for my MCAT. Like my TMJ just was like there was so much stress.
Yeah, one day you woke up and you could not open your mouth.
Yes, and on top of that, yeah, that also happened. Like my jaw just clenched really severely, and I literally couldn't open my mouth. So I spent like a week of sipping through a straw. Like I could only get smoothies. I kept waiting for it to open up. So anyway, needless to say, it's been a thing. And if now you're listening and you're thinking to recommend me some modalities, I'm always open to it. I'll just say that I tried everything. And believe us, we're in this field for a while. I tried every single natural modality there is. I keep on getting feedback that I just have to get a surgery for my jaw. I'm not planning to do it yet, still hoping to find a solution. But there I was in a chair getting Botox injected into my muscles, my jaw muscles. Now, I don't remember exactly how many syringes I paid for, but basically they were spread between my jaw and some for my scalp because I was getting migraines. So at the end, there was some left in a vial. And the person was like, hey, you have some left. And it's like, such a precious thing. You're not going to just waste Botox, right? Left in a syringe. How about we do it here and there? And they just like, picked a couple of spots on my face. Now, again, I don't remember exactly how many units, we planned for and what, but we tried Botox for my forehead. And while, again, I wasn't bothered by any lines or anything on my forehead, there was one thing cosmetically that I was bothered by and gave in at that moment is injecting it over my upper lip because I have a very gummy smile. So when I smile, if I'm like really laughing, it's just like my gums are out there. Again, speaking of unsolicited advice, I've been approached by so many dentists offering me to get a surgery for that as well. You can have a surgery and you're not going to have a gummy smile. Again, I don't have anything against people that go for surgeries. I salute you. I'm not I think, brave enough for that. And also, if I can fix something naturally, I will always try that route first. So anyway, here I was. I got Botox in my forehead and my gummy smile, as well as the muscles of my jaw and here for the migraine on my temples. So I go home, follow the directions sheet, and do you remember what happened afterwards?
I remember it didn't work.
Exactly. So it just didn't work. So I go back to the place and they're like, oh, you must be metabolizing Botox really fast, or we didn't give you enough dose. Let's try the theory. So they put extra, so nothing worked. Like my jaw, my pain, the CMG pain didn't decrease. I've been getting the same migraines. Had zero effect on my gummy smile, and I felt like it worked on my forehead because I felt like my eyebrows are sitting on top of my eyelashes. Like I felt like it was like pressing on my eyes. And I think the movement in my forehead did decrease, but that's it. Like the thing that I was least concerned about, it felt like something is there. Definitely something is working. But the areas that I really wanted to treat with Botox didn't. So they gave me extra for the gummy smile and in my jaw and the temples. And do you remember what's next?
Didn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there you have it. They told me that I am one of 5% of population or something like that I just metabolize Botox really fast. So that's
You metabolize Botox really fast and baked goods. I think these are the two things that you metabolize really fast. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know what I don't know. At the time, I felt like a little bit frustrated because I really was holding off of trying Botox for my TMJ as a last resort. And I know a lot of people that it helped. And that's just to say that Botox can be a helpful modality. But yes, it didn't help for my pain, unfortunately. Didn't help my gummy smile. I'm lucky you like it and my family like it. And I just, I'm 35 years old, still working on liking it myself.
Got it. Well, I love you and I love your smile.
No, thank you.
I don't know why it sounded so mechanistic. I love you. I love your smile. I am supposed to say that. Anyway, so now do you when you then used skincare, did you refer to it in your head as, okay, this is now a Botox alternative, or
no. So first of all, also just to speak a little bit about maybe like a societal situation around it. So I remember in months, during months after I got Botox, when I would tell someone oh, I tried Botox, it was interesting that, there were a lot of my girlfriends were like, oh my God, finally, there you go. And they would say things like, that's why your skin looks so good. And it's strange because I've been getting, compliments on my skin. I don't want to, sound arrogant or anything, but all my life. And suddenly it's attributed to Botox. But also there was a camp of people that were like, why on earth would you get Botox when you skin, looks good. And you just
who were those? My mom? Who were those people?
No, there were some friends, but funny enough, some friends and coworkers, a lot of them weren't ladies. Yeah.
Okay, got you. Interesting. So maybe we should discuss your journey is.
What was the original question when I was answering that? Do you remember? No, because you answered something and I started from afar, and there I wanted to.
No, I asked you if you were looking at Botox.
So here's why I wanted to go back to the question, because I also knew that the Botox is completely out of my system because I could move my muscles back, right? But also I was wary of toxic load and what it the muscle atrophy. That was the thing that was on my mind, and more than anything else, the lymphatic drainage. I just know how the system works there and how important that is for your overall health, but also for your facial skin health. So after I received all of my muscles, moving as well as they were, which for me, again, because it didn't really work for me. For me, it was probably a month and a half later, 2 months. For somebody, that might be 6 months. Yeah. So after I received, all of my muscles started working well again, I went and I got a really proper, deep facial massage. Yeah. So just to make sure that,
But I want to stop you there.
Yeah.
And I want to discuss for a second how Botox works. I think it would, for those who...
Yeah. So Botox, there's, not a very long answer. It paralyzes your muscles. So
it works on facial muscles, blocks nerve signals to your muscles to contract. And I think it's important to understand, when we talk about lymphatic drainage or the lymphatic system, that it relies on muscles contracting. So let's talk about the downsides a little bit, potential long-term effects of Botox, maybe.
Sure. Yeah.
So first you mentioned muscle atrophy, right? Another one might be the migration of Botox to your lymphatic system, for example.
Yeah. And I shout out to Jamie.
Shout out to Jamie McGuire.
Yeah, that has been vocal, and she shared her story. And you might know it. If you don't know it, you can listen to some of the past podcasts that Amitai and Jamie recorded. But in her case, it did migrate to her lymphatic system, and she got like Botox poisoning. So she got physical effects as well as mental effects. So it manifested like itself in anxiety.
Yeah.
And what else was that?
Anxiety, I believe it was. I think she had like flu-like symptoms.
Yes, that's
We would mention also, shout out Kim Kardashian, I think. Some of the Kardashians, Kim, Kendall,
okay.
Courtney,
I know you don't know their names, so
and
you're doing really well.
Stephanie, I don't know which.
I don't know. So one of them had
Claudia, I don't know who else is there. But anyway, one of them had some kind of Botox reaction. I think.
Oh, that's right. I think I know what you're talking about. On the face, right? Like they had like swollen or something.
That's a good question. That is that I don't know already, but I think that also brought it into the forefront as far as like communication about Botox and some adverse reactions. But
yeah, and I did want to just since we're talking about Botox side effects and migrating, I wanted to reiterate that when I was talking about me getting a proper facial massage, I specifically, mentioned that after I gained all my muscle back, because really you shouldn't, like what happened with Jamie is that she used the gua sha after her Botox appointment, like shortly after. Don't remember how much time has passed, but was shortly after. And she sort of moved it, and, she's always said it's her fault, but now you know what could happen because it could just move on its own. And actually, there was another lady that I listened to recently. I don't remember her name, but she found herself really learning how to use facial tape because she also had adverse reactions to Botox. For her, she was showing she was having like allergic reaction on her body. She had like almost like hives and bruises all over her body from receiving Botox in the face. And all of what we're talking about is unlikely. That's like none of my close friends that have been doing Botox, continue to do Botox, experienced any of that. So it's not a high likelihood, but it's something to consider.
Yeah. So I think one important thing that before we kind of move on from the adverse effects of Botox, we need to talk about structural changes in the face, because one of the things that give our face its structure and its
muscles.
Exactly. So not only the structure, but also the appearance of a healthy functioning human being, and one that has a correct genetic expression. It's kind of difficult to explain, but we have innately in our subconscious an ability to read if someone is, I really want to use very gentle terms, but like genetically coherent. If there are no like genetic mutations and things like that. And one of it is the facial function and structure, how the face move, how it's structured. And when we do something like Botox or fillers, sometimes those can alter, especially over time. And subconsciously, we can actually pick up on that. So that's something I know most people don't talk about, but it is there. So this is a little bit about the potential long-term effects. I would also ask the question: does it really, it is being marketed right now as a preventative measure? And let me tell you something. Even so, marketing-wise, whether it's true or not, whether it is 100% true or 0% true, it would be marketed as that, because when you can convince someone that you feel like is anyway going to do it when they're like 35, you're going to start to convince them they need it when they're 25.
Yeah, and I think every woman that's listening to this podcast now can relate. We've all gotten that notion that it's preventative, and it can be from It's like you go to a dermatologist these days. I remember I had dermatitis, which bothered me. And, once we shared that actually our very first product, Care, really helped me to maintain that balance that was off. But I've been seeing dermatologists since my early 20s about that flare up. I have it, still have it, it's dormant, it's contained now, but on my left side. And we tried different things, but here I am. I came to the office about, a legit medical concern, skin concern, and I am being recommended Botox because I'm of a certain age. I was like in my 20s, and yes, it was marketed to me as a preventative tool by dermatologists. Also, if you were to go and to a med spa, that could happen to you as well. You could come for just a facial, just cleaning facial, and be recommended to get Botox. I'll tell you more. The same place that recommended me to put Botox, right, like the leftover that I had from muscles into my forehead, whatever, they also recommended fillers. I never asked for fillers. Thank God I never got them. But and now we have so much data about like really adverse effects. But you just are being recommended it as a preventative measure all the time.
And
and maybe somebody's listening, and there is this one person that haven't been recommended Botox as a preventative measure. I just want to say what's the justification for it is, and that's that since you're relaxing, paralyzing those muscles, they don't contract in the same place, so you don't create a wrinkle, and therefore you'll just get it to, I guess, your 80s and be wrinkle-less because you've never contracted the muscle in your forehead.
And there is some truth to that, but the truth is your skin will age differently. So the reason that your skin ages is obviously basically unrepaired damage over time. If we move our face in a predictive manner, this is going to be more stark in some areas than in others. But your skin is going to age at the same rate if you didn't do anything else, obviously. And because we rely on muscle movement for anything from blood circulation to lymphatic drainage, we will actually exacerbate other parts of skin aging, which are comparable. So our skin's definitely going to age differently, but it is going to age at least at the same rate if you do have Botox. Having said that, I think we're not completely against Botox. Like if people have Botox.
No, we are really not. And I will also, I won't mention the name, but there is a prominent, influencer in the space. She talks about hormones, and she has been very open about her skin transformation. She shares, here's how I used to look when my hormones were off. And here I am, I'm doing this protocol. And, it's like 2 or 3 years later since her wellness journey. And she looks incredible. Like her skin used to be dull and dry and just like the pigmentation, so many different signs of aging. And then you go to the comment section and she talks about all the things she does, which is proper nutrition, physical fitness and supplementation, right? Topicals. And all of the comments are like, it's Botox, 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 Botox. And she's like, yes, I do get Botox, but Botox alone would never bring me from this to that. And this is exactly also, it kind of like goes back to that situation when I received it and everyone was like, oh, your skin looks so much better because you got Botox. Like we just tend to attribute sometimes.
I have to say though, I don't agree with the maybe the kind of venomous comments, but I do think it's specifically, I agree with the message behind the comments. I don't think it's fair to, you don't have anything to compare it to. And I don't think it's fair to not mention it as one of the things that this person is doing. And that specific person did not mention it. in their protocols. So like, hey, one of the things that I do is Botox.
Okay, that's true.
So
That's
I
true,
get
but I
I
will
guess
still
what you're
say,
saying.
no, okay, that's fair. You're right. I agree with you that she should have mentioned that she does get Botox, but I still want to insist that Botox would not help with dullness, dry skin, and pigmentation. So
Definitely facial structure, which has improved dramatically.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree. So let's go, since we've poo-pooed Botox for a while now. Let's talk a little bit about alternatives that are like topical alternatives.
Will we talk about people that do get Botox and what we recommend for them?
Yes, we will. Even though, again, this podcast is more about like alternatives, we can definitely talk about what we recommend.
I will just say one thing.
Yeah.
Is that, if you're in a place where you don't want to let go of Botox, that's completely fine, right? And I will just say, whenever you get your muscles, like your muscle starts, the function of your muscle, you regain it and it works properly. Get a really good facial massage, drain. So have, the lymphatic fluid drained, have that muscle worked by a professional. And
Yeah. It also
I will be
feels
better off. And then you can go and get your next Botox.
Yes, and it feels to me like since we've started recommending this, facial lymphatic drainage, professional facial lymphatic drainage has become more popular. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And you just need to find the right person to do it because yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So let's talk about, like top skincare ingredients that are, they fall into the category of like Botox alternative.
Yeah.
First, I want to talk about not the most effective thing, but probably the most popular thing to talk about, which is neuropeptides and muscle relaxing ingredients. Well, let's even talk about peptides as a whole. Like GHKCU, for example, is not a neuropeptide, but it is definitely alternative. So let's talk about GHKCU or copper peptide first. So GHKCU, copper peptide, we use this term interchangeably, but this is a peptide that basically stimulates collagen production, elastin production, hyaluronic acid production, and is very important for like skin barrier and resolving inflammation. So all of these things obviously create a healthier skin.
But it will not rival Botox.
It will not rival Botox. And again, actually, there is, I would argue that peptides in general, when we talk about peptides,
will not do it.
Are very difficult, are very overrated. They're just overrated. Having said that, there are peptides that function similarly to how Botox
and you were saying topical peptides.
Topical peptides, yes. Obviously, if you inject them, peptides, it's something else. Actually, GHKCU copper peptide injected is magical.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we don't leave any doubt or miscommunication here.
Let's talk about neuropeptides. So maybe I'll have you kind of go through.
Yeah, well, there are multiple peptides. The most famous one will be the hexapeptide, hexapeptide 8, which is also known as argireline. There are SNAP8 peptides that have similar function, structure, and what they do, they relax muscles, not paralyzing them, just, very subtly, very gently relax them. And that sometimes may lead to a visual wrinkle relief.
Yeah.
And it has been proclaimed to be the Botox in a jar.
Yeah, or in a bottle or whatever.
For cosmetics formulations. So I think because you kind of like, said, oh, they're like the least effective things. I think they have their place, and we incorporate SNAP8 in our eye care. And this is a product for anyone that's listening and using eye care. You can back me up on that. That leads to the most dramatic change after a short period of time. Actually, this product has opened a lot of doors for us to like plastic surgeon offices, med spas, because really on the market, compared to any other eye cream that you might use, yeah, that's the one that's going to give you the most of a lift and visual effect. And we have a lot of people that have told us, like, you can never change the formula.
Yeah.
Because this one works so well.
Correct.
So it can work. And we always have our individual biochemistry. So I'm not saying it's going to do that magic for every single person. But we did something right. And Snap 8 is, you know.
And we use many neuropeptides in many products that we have. Shout out to Youth Reset and Youth Daily, using, arginine, like you mentioned.
I just think for
I know.
this particular product gives the most, like, you can feel it. You can actually feel.
I agree.
We apply the eye care. Some people feel like tingling. Some people feel burning. Some people feel cooling. That's the neuropeptides at work.
I agree, and I think they have their place. I'll tell you why. Me as a contrarian, like, I have a problem with it. It's because it's become such a marketing term, peptide. It's just overhyped, and that is why I feel like I'm against it. Even though we use it, it has its place. Just don't expect miracles, especially from peptides. They're not miracle makers. Talking about a miracle maker, though, NAD precursors. I think that is, if something has opened doors for us, it would be NAD precursors. So
we opened the door of NAD precursors into the market.
To the world, So it's us who opened the door. But so how does, let's talk about NAD and, like, cellular function, fibroblasts, like, what's going on there that would fall into that category of things that improve the way our skin look.
Yeah,
can replace
for sure.
Botox for those who don't want to use it.
Yeah, so for some of you listening that don't know what NAD plus is, it's a molecule within our body. It's a precursor for ATP, and if suddenly you don't have it in your body, you just die in 10 seconds. So it's pretty vital. And as we grow older, between the age 30 to 50, the amount of NAD plus circulating in our bodies go down by half. So as you earlier alluded to in this podcast, what's aging really is the accumulation of unrepaired damage. And for our, in this case, skin cells, we will talk about skin, to function properly, they need the energy to do so. And that's what NAD plus is. It's your energy currency of the body. And so when we introduced NAD plus into the formulation, right, we did the precursors because that's the only bioavailable way to deliver it to your skin. And then by raising NAD plus, two things happen. So first, your skin cells now do have the energy to go better about repair, regeneration, whatever their tasks are that day. But also the mere function of suddenly raising NAD plus activates sirtuins, which are your repair genes. And I could go into, other supportive molecules that we have to support this whole thing, because we have things like resveratrol, or we have things like coenzyme Q10 to really, because all of this happens in mitochondria to improve mitochondrial function. But since we're talking about NAD+, that's what it is. The energy, and it's also something that helps turn on those repair genes.
Yes, which is important. So these genes are going to, those repair the sirtuins, or 17 other ones that we normally lump up together with them. They're important for your body to even know how to make collagen properly. So let's say we went to and did the most expensive, expansive, crazy collagen stimulation procedure on the market, whatever that, I'm just being vague on purpose.
Yeah.
And your skin now wants to make all the collagen it can make. It's going to do it poorly if you did not repair the mechanisms. If you're 50, Your skin makes collagen like it's a 50-year-old, unless you did something to make it create collagen like a 30-year-old, which we actually published a study on showing that we can we can have cells function 20 years younger. And that is one aspect of it. We showed how collagen genes function younger, right? So that's an example. But I like the analogy with what you did with NAD. I think an apt segue as far as like molecules is talking about autophagy and skin detoxification, if you would, or cleanup. Okay, so why would autophagy or the process of recycling old to new, I kind of give it away, but anyway, like why would that be important if we want to have more youthful looking skin?
For sure. So the topic of senescent cells is becoming more and more talked about. So hopefully, those of you listening, already know what this is. But if you don't know the word senescent cells, maybe you heard the word zombie cells. Anyway, in our body, what ends up happening is that our cells, when everything functions well, so the cells divide, they go do their job, and they're like basically eliminated out of your body. But with the process of aging and accumulation of damage, there's also like faulty mechanisms that happen. So sometimes the cell that is dead and supposed to be eliminated, it just like sticks around, becomes a zombie cell, and then it releases like pro-inflammatory cytokines and makes other good cells bad cells. So you have that issue, or you have multiple other issues of that nature.
Of malfunction.
And so the process of autophagy, that's the process that makes sure that it cleans up all the cellular debris, all those bad cells that are, zombie cells, or just, that was bad cells. So it eliminates that. So that process, the process of autophagy, unfortunately starts to be more and more faulty as we grow older. And now you need to think about like, okay, well, if I don't have my autophagy working properly, how can this manifest in my skin? So you will be accumulating those senescent cells, the dead cells. And what does that mean really for the skin? It can actually be pretty dramatic because as you talk often, there is a direct connection between the skin and the brain. So there is a skin-brain axis. So those senescent cells that originated in your skin can actually migrate to your brain. So by, really keeping up with your autophagy process, you can actually support your overall wellness. But definitely, as we all know, skin is the largest organ, so it's not surprising that it's also the organ that accumulates the most amount of senescent cells. And those senescent cells, because, we're talking about the organ that we can actually see, it's our skin, right? How will those cells look like for us? Well, they will look like signs of aging, you know? So when you have wrinkles, pigmentation, different like dry patches of your skin, some of that are your senescent cells.
Yeah. And I wouldn't, I'm working on an analogy. Maybe I'll do it better this time. I don't think I'm doing a good job in the meantime. But autophagy is like a good chimney. It does not only help by cleaning out or by sucking out the waste, but it also stokes the fire of repair, right? So better autophagy.
I lost you in this.
Yeah, you did. That's the thing. I'm not doing
I
a good
zoned
job.
out.
Let's do it again.
So other people did it.
So let's do it again. So bad cells, like malfunctioning cells, like cells that just function older, they don't only like create issues, but they also are like stopping the natural process of renewal. So they're also bad on their own, but they're also like making our skin not renew itself as well. So when we release our skin of those cells, our skin then is significantly more inclined to renew itself better and more properly and faster. So it's not only like detox, it's also stimulation for repair. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I didn't touch on that, so catch.
Let's talk briefly, because we're really getting kind of it's getting pretty expansive and extensive here. Let's talk about the role of red light therapy in a routine that is geared towards, again, like trying to achieve a Botox-free, youthful routine.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to reiterate a fact, a thought that Amitai shared is that, a lot of these things that we will talk about, they will not replace the exact effect of Botox. So I see it pretty often when the red light therapy devices are being sold as alternatives to Botox 1-for-1.
Really?
Like, I have seen that when
not getting those ads.
I know when it's been like said, you know what, this is the you will use red light therapy and it will just flat iron those wrinkles, and it will also in case with the red light therapy, it will also remove your pigmentation spots and sunspots and yada yada. So I just red light therapy is fantastic modality for your longevity, for your wellness. I highly recommend it. It's a staple in our routine, but let's just be real and clear the air here that it will not, by you sitting in front of red light, you will not see directly your wrinkles softening, especially when you just do the red light without supporting your with other biochemical nutrients. But the notion here is that what does really red light therapy do? It's a photobiomodulation. So it really helps to stimulate the mitochondria to produce more ATP. And similarly to how we talked about, the benefits of an AD+, when you have more ATP, you have more energy. So there is more support for, should your body need energy for repair and regeneration, you now have this energy.
That's correct. But so you were, I think I want you to finish your thought around other biochemical support.
Yeah.
Because you're not providing any nutrient.
Exactly. So
maybe with more blood, like you're getting more blood to the tissue. So maybe more nutrients come that way. But there's no building blocks for like collagen or I'll let you.
You know what? I'll just open the door and I want you to do it. But specifically for the red light therapy, because if you want it for facial rejuvenation, you do need to support it. We have created the product.
We have. We've created a product called Ladder, Light Activated DNA Repair Serum, which, funny enough, also has the other things that we've mentioned, which are like spermidine and NAD precursors. Actually, it has a new complex, that proprietary complex that's called NAD Apex, that actually makes you also make more NAD, but also provides precursors, antioxidants, collagen promoting peptides and neuropeptides. But it also has and it also provides building blocks for things like collagen, like improving mitochondrial function, all of that. So red light therapy on its own is just a stimulatory effect. Now we need the substance. It's like, what did I say in a different podcast? It's like having a building crew, but not providing them bricks, cement. Yeah. And then I blanked. I was like, I don't really know what you need for construction.
And this is why I'm like, why are you going back to this analysis?
Yeah. Whatever you need for construction, I'm not as apparently as you have now found out I'm not your guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what materials you need, but you're not getting them with red light. That's for sure. So it's like a building group has a lot of energy, none of the supplies or not more supplies than they had before, and you got to supply them. That's why we created ladder serum, and it actually doubles the effects of red light therapy. And in some cases, has an effect that red light therapy alone would not have at all, which is reversing UV-induced DNA damage, which is if you are guilty of exposing your skin to the sun for longer than you needed, that can help, and that's the only product that helps with that. Okay, let's kind of wrap things up. Let's give an honorable mention to like facial exercise and myofascial release and like face taping.
Yeah. So it's funny. I actually was getting a facial yesterday from a lady that happened to know about our brand and listening to our podcast, and it was my first time with her. And she does all the things. She's super holistic, very holistic to a point that she wouldn't do microneedling, which we support, but she's like, no, only nano needling. And I respect, everyone's perspective and opinion.
Disrespect her. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Okay, not nice.
No, I'm kidding.
But I know
she's listening to it. So
I know.
Okay, then.
I know. So where was I? So we were chatting everything skin health and everything Botox alternatives, fun enough, yesterday randomly. And I mentioned that I started face taping sometime last year, and she has not jumped on this trend yet. So for anyone listening, I will say that in my personal experience, the face taping is the closest thing you can get to like getting that
temporary, like
temporary muscle relief that you actually see the effects associated with Botox, where you normally would have a deeper line and suddenly it's softened. I am not a face tape expert yet, so I haven't shared any of the ways that I apply facial tape because I just feel like there are better resources out there. But I will just say that I personally think that it does work, and I recommend it. Now, I know some of you listening will be like, oh, but what about the adhesive? And here, you just, you need to do your own research, but there are companies that make it, with, it's all done with, with your skin health in mind most of the time. So there are better companies, and in general, I recommend Japanese manufacturers. So keep that in mind. Then facial massage. Yes, that's another thing that I started doing last year. I actually signed up to a course, and I've been getting many, many, many courses on facial massage. And I have shared some of techniques that I personally see a huge difference with. So I will also say that last year was a year where I experienced the worst skin of my life, and I was postpartum. So, and that's, I think, where I, for the first time, just experienced aging, like the way that you experienced, I guess, in maybe perimenopause. I had all of those things that never happened to me, obviously, because of the hormonal shift. And skin appearance was one of them. And, I didn't resort to going back to Botox because it just wasn't really an option for me because of the way I metabolize it. So I then started doing the facial massage and the facial taping. With facial massage, I will say it really helps with lymphatic drainage, and that I feel like it helps with visual lifting and sculpting the face, but not so much with wrinkles, obviously, not with pigmentation. But I recommend those modalities.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Two more modalities, really, I'll mention, and we'll more. They're professional only, so I will mention them, but they are more like, hey, find a good person and do it. I would go for any type of like needle going into your face, so whether it's like acupuncture or microneedling. These two things are really, really good. Very much so. I think a kind of must do for someone who's looking for skin longevity and a more natural way to stimulate renewal. And another one is peels. Now, peels are very, very problematic from a longevity standpoint because they call on reservoirs. They're not natural to the skin. Your skin does have mechanisms to repair from injury, but peels, since they're so they cover a very large surface, which is your entire face. That kind of deviates from how your skin is used to like getting stimulation for renewal. So this is another area where, like red light therapy, where your skin doesn't get with it kind of the building blocks for a recovery. And we don't work with a lot of practitioners, but we work with enough that there is probably someone in your area, the people who listen, that uses our copper peptide peels, which are really the answer to, that's really all of the good of facial peels. Stimulation, renewal, even increase in hydration and skin elasticity, without the drawbacks, which actually make your skin older on a biological level. So these are kind of honorable mentions. Again, because you need professionals, I kind of kept them towards the end. But yeah, that's what we have for today. We have to be short because we want to keep it under a certain amount of time. Conclusion is we don't tell you not to use Botox, but if you do, here's what you can do instead.
If you don't.
Yeah, there is a middle ground. Like I believe that you could do Botox very, very rarely and use skincare products, especially like neuropeptides or other things like the copper peptide peels, which would allow your skin to appear as if, it actually extends a little bit the life of Botox.
Yeah.
In a healthy way. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you have the same algorithm on Instagram, but I've seen a lot of kind of funny videos where, the message was like, well, if you're on a budget and you invest in Botox, but then you use like drugstore skincare, it's not gonna really work for you, So yeah, if even if if you were using Botox or not, proper skincare as a consistency with it will be, in my opinion, I think that results in a better looking skin out of anything else that we talked about.
Exactly. I think this is the major point of this discussion is the magic of Botox. You go once to your provider and you supposedly look better for the next like 3 to 6 to 9 months. The alternative would be habits and consistency at a much more demanding level. Like it's a daily commitment that would provide results that are an alternative. But that's all we have for today as far as time.
Yeah.
So Anastasia, thank you for the work that you are really Young Goose. Like if people like Young Goose, they like you. And if people like you, they like Young Goose. So anyway, thank you so much for being convinced to come on this podcast. Anyone listening, please leave your review, leave a comment, and within the comment, please mention the fact that you would want Anastasia on more episodes, so you provide the leverage that I need to bring her here more often.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening to us and taking us along whatever you were doing right now.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.